Alright guys, so welcome to my Game of the Year awards for the PS2 and PSP Game of the Year. Now you'll find out why I had to combine both of them in the same video in a second. Because I'm going to do PS2 first, my only nomination for the year is Persona 4. I just never got around to picking up a select few titles for the PS2. I mean, there really honestly wasn't much out there. The only other titles that I was remotely interested in were Yakuza 2, Eternal Poison, and Kingdom Hearts Re: Chain of Memories. But besides those, Persona 4 was the only one that I really wanted, and this is the only one that I got for my nomination, so it's obviously my PS2 Game of the Year. But I'll tell you why, it's very, very worth that nomination anyway. Now, I'm not going to go too in-depth because you can watch my impressions video for Persona 4 for most of the details, but I will say that despite how good Persona 4 is in terms of its gameplay elements, it's basically a hardcore dungeon crawler mixed with simulation elements, like high school dating, friendship simulating. Now that might sound weird, because basically after every dungeon trip, the whole game is based off of a time, so you have a time limit, and the time throughout the game takes place on a calendar where, you know, one day it'll be raining and you might want to go to the dungeon, and every day, every time that you do a main action, like if you go to the dungeon, it'll eat up one day in the game time. And if you don't complete certain tasks in the game by a certain time, like rescuing people that are trapped in televisions, the game will end, you'll get a game over, and you'll be sent back 10 days or so to try again. So it's really good, but it's hard to recommend because of how different it really is. Some RPG gamers are going to go into here expecting, you know, a grind fest with a typical story. It's definitely not typical in its story. It's more like a murder mystery. And some people are probably really going to hate the whole simulation aspect of, you know, sometimes you really have to spend about an hour straight just, you know, leveling up friendships with your teammates, or getting a job and going to the daycare center, say. And people that really are into level grinding and stuff, while it's in the game, it's more, the game isn't focused that much on grinding as it's more focused on building up friendships in the simulator aspect, and then they carry over to the advancements that you make in the battles. So what you do in the real world outside of battles greatly affects your combat abilities. So, without a doubt, Persona 4 definitely worth Game of the Year nomination for PS2, because obviously it's all I have. But its style, its music, its graphics are all amazing. If you have a PS2 and you're into RPGs, this is a must-own. So, PSP Game of the Year. Here's my first nomination. Patapon, an early 2008 release. And, you know, I really thought I was going to love Patapon. But I actually came out not enjoying it as much as I thought. Now, the whole point behind Patapon is it's like a mini simple strategy game mixed with like a rhythm type music game, very light on the rhythm based gameplay. It's very simple, you know. You'll have your troops, your little Patapon guys, and the object is, the game is on a 2D flat plane. You have to move them from the left side of the screen basically to the right side. But in order to do that, it has like little RPG elements where you can find equipment. You basically, it's sort of similar to Monster Hunter in a way, where, you know, think of it like that, where you go and you have to like farm items and equipment from enemies, and then you're able to equip your little army guys. It's very unique. It's kind of hard to describe what kind of game this would be. But basically, you have these little guys, you can equip them with weapons and armor, and then in battle, you command them and move them by doing rhythm-based commands. So, say if you want to move them forward, you gotta, you know, they say pata 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 pon, and then you gotta, you know, follow the rhythm. You gotta go say square 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 X, and that'll move them forward. If you want them to attack, they'll be like chicka chicka pata pon, and then, you know, you hit X X triangle square, some kind of command like that, and that will make them attack. Now, at first, it's really cool. It's you know, fun, really cute and charming. The music is really catchy and everything. But then, after, you know, 3 hours maybe, it gets really repetitive, doing the same button combinations over and over, especially to move your troops forward. Man, it was getting really annoying. And you know, there is some micromanaging in terms of keeping your guys equipped and all that kind of stuff. Overall, I would definitely recommend this to the PSP owners. It's very unique in terms of its gameplay. I just found it a little bit too repetitive for my taste, but it is still definitely worth a nomination for PSP 2008 Game of the Year. Next up is God of War Chains of Olympus. Now this is one that I had to pick up after I posted my PSP collection video. So many people were surprised that I didn't own it. So I went out and bought it finally about a month ago maybe. And let me tell you, it is so good. I'm so glad that I bought it. Best looking PSP game in terms of gameplay, during the gameplay, hands down. Amazing soundtrack. And the best part is that they somehow managed to 100% carry the gameplay of what made God of War feel so great on the PS2 over to the PSP. It feels just like God of War for PS2. I don't know how they did it. Ready at Dawn really put a lot of work into this, and you know, everything from the crazy combos that you can do and the gut-wrenching, you know, quick time button pressing sequences like stabbing Cyclopses in the eye. It's all in there. And the part that I'm most amazed about is really, like I said, the presentation and the graphics. You know, they got the swooping camera angles, you know, they got the huge draw distances. It truly looks like something that, it looks better than almost all PS2 games that are out, and, you know, that's saying a lot. Of course, you know, some of the polygonal textures on the characters are a little bit blocky at some points, but really, it looks amazing. Great textures and everything. The frame rate really never drops, and the best part is you always have a sense of advancement in terms of you're always learning new abilities. Every time you defeat certain enemies, you know, you're going to get red orbs and you can power up your abilities, get new magic. You're always getting new stuff. You're increasing your health, you're increasing your magic, like in, you know, a Zelda game. And really, this is a really great game. I'm really glad I bought it. Next up is Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, another early PSP title from 2008. And I'll admit that when I first went in the Crisis Core, I was really enjoying the presentation. Now, here's the thing. Between God of War and Crisis Core, this has the better graphics in terms of while you're in gameplay. This has really good graphics during gameplay, but its CG animations and its in-game cutscenes look amazing. I think they could rival like early PS3 games. It's really that good in terms of the cutscenes. Now, the gameplay is actually more of an action RPG, where battles take place real time. You don't have any time to stop gameplay and, you know, choose your commands that you want to use. Everything is done with, you know, moving around the screen, and if you want to attack an enemy, there's a very simplistic regular attack command, and then you can gain new materia to give you magic. You know, they got all the typical Final Fantasy magic: cure, poison, fire, blizzard, lightning, and then you get you have magic, and then you have ability points which you use for more advanced combo attacks, like you can swing around or stun enemies. Now, the weirdest thing about the game is actually the DMV system. Everything in this game, in terms of combat, is almost randomized. There's like a jackpot slots kind of thing going on constantly during battles. So it spins, and if 3 character portraits match up, or 2 of them actually, I'm sorry, it'll go into another mode where it'll spin again, and there's all sorts of variables in terms of numbers matching up. If 2 numbers match up, then you level up, you know, a certain magic spell. If you get 3 sevens, you level up Zack Fair, the main character himself. A little bit, it's kind of a little too random for me. Like, everything is handled randomly. You want to use a summon, it's random. You want to use, you know, a limit break type move, it's random. You can level up 2 times in a battle, and then you can go like 40 battles and never level up. Really random, but still a very, very fun and enjoyable game. And lastly, my last nomination would be Star Ocean First Departure. I really like the style of this in terms of the graphics and the gameplay and the music and the battles. If you have a PSP or you're an RPG lover, this is definitely worth the nomination for a Game of the Year for PSP. The cutscenes and everything like that are really well done, very well animated. And overall, it's just a very well put together RPG with an action twist on the battles. So overall, for the Game of the Year for PSP, it really came down to 2 titles, that being God of War and Final Fantasy VII. And I'll admit, I went back and played both of these before doing this. This actually ended up making me play for 2.5 hours. I couldn't get myself off of this game before doing this video. It was a lot of fun, really, really good, despite, you know, being a little bit random in its gameplay. Then I went back and played this, and, you know, this one wins out for Game of the Year for PSP for me. It's just so well done in terms of everything. The gameplay really wins it over. It just feels so good during combat. Couple that with the best looking gameplay graphics on the PSP, and you have a for sure winner for PSP Game of the Year 2008. Thanks for watching, guys, and definitely make sure you go out and pick up both of these titles. But for me, this one wins over just a little bit. There you go. Thanks for watching.